Grumble McRumble.
The French fry clown.
Suplex King. That should be your next character in WWE. Grumble McRumble.
Full disclosure, we got to say this up front.
What?
I'm in my normal pod chamber. You're in the hyperpodic time chamber. You have made a podcasting studio out of your living room.
Yes, I'm actually in the pod suite, presidential suite, actually.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it certainly looks this way.
I have upgraded from the pod chamber to the pod presidential suite for this episode.
Normally you huddle in a closet somewhere trying frantically to make a podcast about video games, but it seems you've moved your whole operation out into your living room, and so now it looks like we're maybe a sports podcast. I don't totally know.
We're a sports podcast, baby. My girlfriend is out of town, so boyfriend is playing right now.
Yeah,
I am living in luxury in this beautiful living room while I pod.
By playing, you mean making a podcast about video games?
Exactly. Talking about playing. It's the best kind of playing.
Speaking of playing, let me just cue something up here. Okay.
Oh, I see where this is. I see where this is going.
Welcome.
Huh?
It is, in fact, the 69th episode of Video Game Podtimism, the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming.
What is the background of this YouTube video? Just like a pair of sexy lips, but in like neon light bulbs?
Huge shout out to Free You Sexy, royalty-free music from Ben Sound on YouTube that I found a few minutes before we started.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling pretty sexy.
Thank you. Ben Sound, I think, is how we prevent ourselves from getting sued.
They are really hooking us up this episode with some royalty-free sexy music.
The title track is Sexy. Oh, yeah.
You can tell it's sexy by the slow, rhythmic beats and the
moaning
ululating woman in the background.
People in the background.
Not saying anything, just sounds. Making sounds with their mouths.
My name is Chase Sterling.
I'm David Augusto.
Hell
We're
yeah.
doing middle names today.
We might as well, because it's the 69th episode.
You might as well just call me Augusto for the rest of the cast. I can call you Sterling if you want, if that floats your boat.
I love this bit. This is great.
It's getting too sexy. Abort.
Oh no, he's hot. It is our 69th episode, and so we couldn't let that opportunity go by. We'll have a special middle segment in addition to that really wonderful, nice bit in the beginning there that put everybody in a really good mood, I'm sure.
Made everybody feel really safe.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Like they signed up for this, I bet. Anyway, it's a video game podcast. We'll get to some 69 episode themed stuff later, but before then, hey David.
Hey, Chase.
Have you been playing video games recently?
I have been.
Could you tell me about a few of those, excluding the ones that we'll talk about later?
Yes, of course. So I jumped back into some Rocket League with the boys once again.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Eric and Travis and Jahan. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, we were going hard, and it was great.
Yeah.
Still a fun game. Really always better to play with friends. It's definitely one of those online games that once I played with friends, I can't just play quick play with randos anymore. It's too infuriating.
Yeah, for sure.
It drives me nuts. So that was really fun. And then I have been playing a lot of XCOM 2.
Whoa, okay. That's kind of left field. Your video game choices in the past like a month, I feel like, have just been like a grab bag of sort of whatever.
I've been very eclectic.
Why XCOM? Did you play XCOM 1? Do you like XCOM?
I didn't play XCOM 1. I had played the first like level or two of XCOM 2 a while ago. I think I talked about it before because it was free on PS Plus, baby.
Sure.
I think I kind of got off of it because I got my PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
and then just kind of migrated over to that, and it wasn't already downloaded, and I had all these other games I wanted to try.
Sure.
So I just kind of fell on the back burner. But now that I've had a little bit of a lull, I've been kind of trying to find a game that scratches my itch for what I've been wanting. Cool. This has definitely been scratching me nicely.
Jesus.
If we're going to keep the sexy theme going, are we doing that still, or are we stopping that for right now, Chase? Do you feel comfortable?
Yes. Scratching me nicely, I think, is sort of a challenging phrase on its own. So
scratching me nicely with his game.
I don't know why it puts me in a weird space.
It doesn't even mean anything.
I know.
All right, I won't say it. I won't say it anymore.
Hell yeah. So you're playing XCOM.
It's good.
Yeah.
I've definitely, after playing a lot of Ratchet and Clank and some other more action-based QuickTime reaction games, I've been wanting something a little bit more cerebral. Also Hades. Hades definitely kind of blew me out on action-oriented games for a second there.
Yeah, your synapses are all burnt up.
Yeah, I'm all burnt up.
Need something to think on, yeah.
Yeah, and nothing was quite reaching the same euphoric highs as Hades was doing, so it's just like, why even play?
Unfortunately enough, that's been my experience of video games for a little while, is nothing quite reaches the heights of Hades. That's how it goes with like really great touchstone games, you know? Yeah. You just don't feel good.
You just everything else has to get on their level before you can enjoy them again. Otherwise you're just chasing the dragon. So I went more to like real-time strategy games, or with this, I guess, is a top-down strategy game.
Yeah, a little bit.
Isometric strategy game. But it's really fun. I really enjoy this game. It feels like they just turned a board game into a video game. That's what it feels like.
Okay.
Just with the way that there's like the overlaying board with like all sorts of different choices you can do, and like the time limit and how things will just kind of continue progressing. You really have to pick and choose what you do every second of the game that elapses.
Yeah.
There's just constant time management in the game, which is stressful in some moments for me. But once you get the hang of it and you realize like, oh, this game will just straight up flunk me if the aliens find out this avatar program before I'm ready to counteract it. Then you really start getting a fire under your butt and making some moves, making some risky decisions to beat the aliens. But it's quite fun. I really enjoy all the characters, all the different upgrades you can do. The combat itself is satisfying. I'm playing on easy mode because I didn't want to just get rocked.
I think that's probably a good idea.
It's still somewhat challenging. I do definitely have some issues with permadeath. And I'm already just so attached to some of these soldiers that if any of them die, I will be in mourning probably for a good week at this point, especially like my ride or dies, like my majors and my colonels. God, if anything happens to them, I'm just gonna destroy these aliens. I'm just gonna rip them a new one. But no, it's a really engrossing, engaging game. Really fun. I recommend it pretty much to anybody, I would say.
Yeah, I think if you're into RPGs or like this kind of game, I think it's, a pretty core experience so far. I know that there's like a lot of games. I feel like this probably isn't true, but like I do feel like XCOM was sort of this like shift for a lot of people, of like a lot of folks enjoying that kind of game. Like I feel like I see a lot of other kinds of games like XCOM. Even fucking the Mario Rabbids game is like very much an XCOM video game.
It's true.
Which is honestly pretty good. If you haven't played that one, that might be an easy place to start because it does not have permadeath. And Luigi has a gun, which is pretty cool.
Luigi's got a gun.
Well, we haven't had a singing part in a while where I put a song behind you. That's a fresh take. I like that.
There you go. Luigi's got a gun, baby.
What else? I feel like there's just a lot of these kind of games, and I like that a lot because I particularly enjoy them a bit as well. And I guess I should say a little correction. When I say like people enjoyed this game now that XCOM came out, I'm really talking about XCOM 2 and like its modern iterations rather than like the many like turn-based strategy sort of character-driven games that have absolutely been out since like the 90s, so it's not necessarily a new thing, but it is cool to to be able to play it and like see all these games that are kind of taking from it.
Well, people liked XCOM 1 as well, didn't they?
They definitely did. I think it just didn't hit like the fever pitch that it quite didn't, or at least in my experience. This may be totally bullshit, and like plenty of people, I know plenty of people did like the first one, but like I just feel like I heard a lot more buzz about the second.
That's true.
So yeah, I like this game a lot too. I enjoy XCOM. I do kind of like games that have permadeath for the reasons that you were describing. The like, yeah, this feels kind of stressful and I get really attached to people and it like really sucks when they die. I think when a game narratively is like, this person might die, I'm like, yeah, for sure. And that's kind of spooky, but like it is much more effective for me when mechanically something will change if somebody dies and their death is definitely my fault.
Yeah.
I think that's like a very, very cool game design trick that games start to leverage. God, what was the name of that game that I played earlier in the year? Other Side was pretty good. And it's very much an XCOM-y sort of combat or physical combat sort of thing. And there's very much permadeath. And so that one was pretty good. I love the style of it too. It's really great.
Okay.
So yeah, hell yeah, XCOM. Are you playing anything else?
Nothing else besides our picks of the week for
our special cool segment.
For our special. Sorry, that was gross. I apologize. I'm trying not to be so nasty, but it's just kind of coming out.
It's the relaxed podcast studio that you've built for yourself.
It's just the relaxation. Yeah. It's the 69th episode. It's just it's putting me in a weird headspace. I'm trying to corral myself.
You're in a couch right now with a neck pillow. How could you not be comfortable?
This is actually a lazy boy recliner.
Jesus, David. Which it looks like it is in front of your already existing couch.
Yeah, I just put it front and center in front of the TV. I'm not trying to turn my head and keep it in a exacerbated position for a long period of time. Yeah. I spend a lot of my day looking down at hands, so I need to give myself a little bit of
podcasts.
Look up at podcast. Yeah, it chases beautiful mug in front of me.
Your job is for hands, by the way. That sentence out of context sounds so wild.
Oh,
I spend most of my day
I didn't even think about
looking at hands down, looking down at hands.
Yes, I'm a hand therapist, everybody. That's the reason why I said that. I'm not just like some weird hand fetishist. Not that that's a bad thing. If that's what gets you going, go for it.
But spending 8 hours a day doing it might be a little destructive to your personal life.
Yeah, that'd be no bueno. That'd be no bueno.
Cool. Is that all you're playing?
That's it. What have you been playing?
A similarly kind of small list of games, given that we were trying to focus on this other thing that we did. But let me just walk through the majority of the games that I've played, which isn't huge. This will be quick. I'm still poking through DBZ Kakarot.
Cool.
Which is weird given when I logically think about it and I am playing it and I'm like, am I enjoying this? Usually my thought is like, maybe. And so that leads me to believe that like the game is doing something that is maybe not totally perceivable all the time for me. Like, I think I may just like the way the game makes me feel. Like
Goku?
Kind of like Goku. I think it definitely hits the ding boy part of me because like Dragon Ball Z in itself hits the ding boy part of me of like progression, physical change when you get progression. And
I am now stronger than I was
minutes ago. Yeah.
Minutes ago.
Which is cool for me. So I think I like that part of it. I'm almost at the Cell games. So we just spent some time in the hyperbolic time chamber, which is very cool. Gohan is now in like the coolest Gohan form, which is like just SSJ being Super Saiyan all the time, and then will eventually get a little bit stronger, which is cool.
So good.
Yeah, this is again not the correct podcast for this, but I was so bummed out when they did like the time skip into like the Majin Buu era, and Gohan was just like some dude. He's just hanging out with his stupid little cosplay and like the Great Saiyaman.
Great Saiyaman was, oh man, just
like he was one of the strongest Saiyans on Earth for a while. He was
the strongest.
Yeah.
Saiyan Chase, please.
I get that, you know, there's a lesson in Goku trying to teach his son to be the strongest person, and there being some like too much pride in that because he like has to sacrifice himself to not get the earth exploded at some point. But like, come on, man. Come on, dog.
Yeah, they really pulled the rug out from underneath us on that one.
Yeah. Like the end of the Majin Buu saga is like Goku strong still. is like the name of the end there. Goku hit good still, and so does Vegeta, so let's make a new one out of the two of them.
JK, Goku's still the best.
JK's Goku strong still. Like, okay.
Only one who goes Super Saiyan 3.
Anyway, this is the wrong podcast, and I'm feeling unpodtimistic about the show Dragon Ball Z, but I am enjoying the video game. So yeah, that's still there. I have also been playing WW2K Battlegrounds, David.
Oh, off of PS Plus?
This is the PS Plus video game.
Why did you choose that one out of all the other PS Plus games?
Yeah. So I've downloaded the other ones too. And I was like, ooh, A Plague Tale looks pretty good. I've heard good things about that. I'll probably play that. And I was like, I want to be real heady about this and have some cool thoughts. And then a little voice in the back of my head was like, you should make Wario in WWE 2K Battlegrounds.
Oh,
and I was like, I think
Wario?
I tried and failed, David.
Oh,
You cannot make Wario in WWE 2K Battlegrounds. I think
Shigeru Miyamoto comes out of nowhere, smacks the controller out of your hand and says, nope, Wario is mine.
Yes, he did do that. I tried to make Wario and just made a very big man. There was no distinctive Wario qualities. Nothing really was Wario about him.
I tried making Wario, but it was just a big man.
Yeah, he's just big. Like there's nothing good about him. So I'm hoping that maybe I can unlock some new shirts and hats that will make him look more Wario-like. But right now I just have a big boy, and that's pretty much all I've got.
But he's not tall. He's just wide.
Big. Yeah, big.
He's wide and short.
I made that part of the character. Okay. My character is wide and short, but that is as far as I get with looking like Wario in WW2K Battlegrounds, the PlayStation Plus free game of the month.
Do you have any pictures you could show me?
No, but I'll send you one after this. Maybe I'll post it to our Twitter too. It doesn't look like Wario. I need you to be prepared for just how much it does not look like Wario. He has a big head and a big body. Yeah. I made him as short as he could and as squat as I could, and that's it.
This is classic 2K stuff. Remember that avatar I made of myself?
Yeah, it did not look good.
Based on my picture.
Is Dobby and the basketball ghoul, if I remember correctly.
Dobby N. Yep, that's it.
So anyway, I played this game too, rather than just using the character creator. It is wrestling. I am not a wrestling dude. I don't pay attention to it particularly hard. I had maybe a stint in kind of elementary school where it was on late, I think. I don't remember if it was on before or after Star Trek, but I think it was somewhere in that vicinity where
ooh, were you a Trekkie?
Not really. I just watched it when it was on. I think my mom just kind of put it on as a go to bed TV show, which it is really nice for. Man, Star Trek is good for going to bed.
Yeah.
If you just put it at kind of a low volume, it feels really nice. Usually they're talking, and that's really good. Every now and there's some action. You can kind of sleepily wake up. Oh, what's happening? And it's oh, Star Trek is still on. That's fine. And then you go back to bed, and it's really nice.
You make it sound very pleasant.
It lulled me to sleep so many times. Yes, I watched Star Trek Voyager. That was a very nice go to bed show. Anyway, this is not at all wrestling. The wrestling video game is pretty fun. It feels absolutely like the N64 games where there is not so much depth to this video game.
Okay.
But honestly, again, I like what was it? I don't even remember the fucking name of the video game. The Dark Alliance video game from a couple of weeks ago.
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes, I do not have standards for this video game. It is kind of don't let the Podtimism gods hear me. It's kind of bad, but I like that. It's very stupid, and it isn't more than it needs to be.
Chase, is that a lightning bolt coming straight towards you behind you? Do you see that?
The Podtimism god Frank is gonna strike me down.
Yeah, who is Frank, the Podtimism god?
I don't know. We're gonna have to do some research and figure it out. Maybe in an episode where we talk about fiction or something. Anyway, yeah, it's a video game. It's it's kind of shallow, but I can imagine this being very fun for a bunch of people to play at once in a similar way to my experience with most WWE games, and fun to be big dudes and throw someone on the ground. That's cool. I will say that this game is stylized in a way that is kind of fun but mostly terrifying. It
kind of fun but mostly terrifying. It sounds like a progressive rock band.
It does. The character models are cartoonishly proportioned, but some of their faces look incredibly real. And so it's this very terrifying uncanny valley where like you have the face of a human, but your body is wrong.
Have they stolen your soul, Stone Cold?
Yeah, exactly. What curse has been laid upon Dwayne the Stone Johnson?
Dwayne the Stone.
To put him in here. So anyway, that's a video game I'm playing. I'm enjoying it. I don't know how much I will play it, but it's a video game. It's free. Yeah. That's cool with me. And the game that I've been playing by far the most of is The Last Spell, David. I talked about this last week a little bit.
Yeah.
It's the kind of tower defense-y, a little bit XCOM-y in the way that you like fight people. Mm-hmm. Tower defense, already said that, roguelike. Mm-hmm. You like are just defending the center of your city from like the oncoming hordes. It's just very fun. The game loop is very, very good. And like they've got a great pace for it. I feel like I'm realizing after playing a pretty significant amount of roguelikes in the past couple of years that like the pace at which you progress is incredibly important with these games. Sure. And I think there's sort of like two models that present themselves, right? There are roguelikes that present themselves as skill checks of like, you could beat this game on your first try. If you were like very good at this game, then you could feasibly beat this. And then there's another one where it relies more on meta progression of like, you know, you do a run and then you get gold or something throughout the runs. And you can spend that on like incremental increases to how well you do across matches or across runs. I think I prefer that kind. I think like the sort of nasty ding boy part of me enjoys seeing these numbers slowly go up and slowly getting better. And then being able to measure that progress against how far I'm getting in the game. And so it just does that really well. I still haven't beaten the first fucking level. So like, that's where I'm at. It's hard to be fair. I think they say that in the beginning, like this game is supposed to be kind of tough. And so like, I am not frustrated with not beating the first level because I'm like, I don't even know how many of these are. It's in early access. So there's a distinct possibility that they do not have a second level yet. So I'm still just kind of enjoying my time with it. And yeah, it's fun. I think the most fun I've had with it is just getting these like runs where I just barely scrape by to the next night, essentially. Something that I realized that I don't know why I wasn't doing before, but again, to sort of reiterate what I said last time, your town can get attacked from one of four sides. And the farther you go, the more sides that start getting attacked all at once. And so at first it's just like your north side, and then it'll switch over to your south side, and then you'll get attacked from your east and your west side or something like that.
Sure.
And there's like a grid that you can build defenses on to like sort of slow people down. You can literally build like fences and traps and shit. And that'll slow the zombie horde down a little bit, but you know, it costs stuff to do it. And so depending on how well you did the previous night will determine a lot of how you do the next. Something I realized was I was like, I kept building my defense all the way out on the town, like the edge of the town, which is where it starts initially. So it just kind of makes sense to build it there. But I was like, wait, no, I don't have to do this. Like, and so I pulled everybody back and just built this tiny little fence around like the summoning stone in the middle of the town and put all my dudes in there. And that works much better. If it was just like this Hail Mary all at once, I wasn't expecting to get much farther because all of the like stuff that I built up, like the weapons shop, my like inn for other heroes that I can recruit, it all got destroyed because it's outside of this little wall that I have. And so the monsters just rushed right in and blew those things up. But it was this very fun realization of like, oh shit, I could probably make it at least one more round if I just like kind of packaged everybody into this one little spot, tried to rain fire down from out of it.
We will make our stand at Helm's Deep.
Exactly. Yeah, and it was very much a Helm's Deep situation. So yeah, it's just really fun. I find myself always like, when I get a spare moment, I'm like, oh, I should play like a night of The Last Spell. Because they do last a while. Like the nights will, you know, it takes a little while to get through each round. Like a full, like, you know, start to finish, I got 5-6 nights, whatever. It takes a while. And so like, this isn't something you can just plop down and play like a whole day or a whole run's worth in like an hour. It takes a little bit longer, but you don't have to play it all at once. You can just play like a night and then save and then come back to it. So
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just like weirdly obsessed with it right now. I think it's incredibly mechanically satisfying. And I kind of say that with a caveat that I think this game is kind of tailor made for me. It's roguelike-y. I love the art style. I think like just the conceit of the game is very fun. The music is like very good for me. It's very genty, got a Doom feel to it.
A lot of gent, huh?
A lot of gent. So that's very good. good. Parts of it sound like gent mixed with like either Parasite Eve or like Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation. Like it's just it's all very good. So yeah, I'm loving it. It's a very, very good game.
Ronald McDonald's gonna bust through your door right now.
Ronald McDonald's gonna bust.
Rumble McDomble? Do we have to say it?
Grumble McRumble.
Grumble McRumble.
The French fry clown.
Suplex King. That should be your next character in WWE. Grumble McRumble.
Oh God!
Sorry, that tickles me a little bit.
That's pretty funny. Anyway, all this will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David. It is Nickelodeon's All-Star Brawl, the upcoming video game. I
saw that.
David.
That looks so cool.
I'm so into this video game. Nickelodeon decided to make a very well, I guess nobody's played it, but they decided to make a very good Smash Bros. Like with Nickelodeon characters, which is very only 90s kids will remember energy, but it looks like a pretty well-made game. And they're also like, I read something that they're using like very modern net code to like make it fun to play online rather than like Smash Bros. That's like got a carrier pigeon that takes a message to your opponent and says they just used up B, and then they have to send their other one back.
Sakurai is making the connections in real time. He's like one of those like 50s era switchboard operators.
Yeah, he's just frantically plugging inputs and outputs into different switchboards.
He's just skin and bones at this point. Poor man.
We didn't have time to make a properly functioning online system, so I am the properly functioning online system.
Thank you for understanding about any latency issues.
Poor Sakurai. I'm sure he knows like, hey, the internet kind of sucks, and Nintendo's like, we don't care. Keep making the fucking Smash Brothers, buddy.
They're still gonna pay us money.
Anyway, this game looks really good. It has huge PlayStation All-Stars energy, which is a game that I want to play, but not want to play hard enough to go buy it. And so I'm very glad to have another chance to get to play something like that.
Is it on PS now?
PlayStation All-Stars?
Yeah. If it's not, it should be.
I presume that it is not the easiest thing to get access to PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale.
It's a deep cut.
You probably have to like go to Sony headquarters and request it by hand.
Handwritten request.
First, you have to go to the DMV. You have to get a current registration for your legal address. Get that notarized. Take that to get
your real
Sony,
ID.
Your flight ID. You have to go to Sony headquarters dressed up as Solid Snake and sneak into the PlayStation All-Stars containment center. And then get along.
Contained.
Yeah, the power is too much.
Yeah, what happens if it busts loose? What does that mean? It's a very provocative sentence you just said, Chase.
It's never been done before, but I know some people who might want to do that. Cut to a 30-minute cutscene about the Lale Lule Lo.
I was going to say it's like Ocean's 11.
Okay, yeah, no, we're building a team now to go steal PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale from Kazurai.
It's the stealth team PlayStation All-Stars to steal the fighting team PlayStation All-Stars. It's the mashup within the mashup, Chase.
I love this. I love all of it. Anyway, Podtimistic thing. I want to play this video game. I probably will be playing this video game. I hope that it is weirdly just like a very good Smash Bros. Like. Just out of nowhere. It's like very competently made, because I would love to just accidentally stumble onto like, oh, Nintendo now, or Nickelodeon weirdly has the best Smash Bros. Game.
Who's going to be your main?
I'm thinking Helga. Helga's up there for me. I like that.
Helga.
Not to be too 2005 XD rar, but like maybe Invader Zim, probably Invader Zim. Like
he is kind of the embodiment of that phrase you just said.
I know. I was, for better or worse, I was an emo back in the day. So this like Invader Zim definitely got me, man.
Yeah, I get it. I get you.
It's dark. It's edgy. Gur is in there. Being #random.
I might have to be Nigel Thornberry.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good call, because like you can say the phrase smashing whenever you like spike someone, which is, that's gotta feel good.
Excellent phrase.
Absolutely delectable. Thank you. We'll see though. Maybe Reptar is totally broken, and
Reptar looks tight.
Yeah,
also,
absolutely.
If they let me play as like Patrick Star.
They will.
Is he in it?
He's in it, yeah.
Can you give me the character list? Can you just run off?
I don't know that they've released it yet, but let's see.
Because I saw SpongeBob and I saw Sandy, but I didn't see Patrick.
Roster. I was about to type tier list.
I'm sure there's already someone who's made a tier list.
Yes, absolutely. Oblina from All Real Monsters, Danny Phantom, Helga. What's it? I thought it was Pataki. Yeah, I don't know why I thought there was an S in there. Zim from Invader Zim, Reptar from Rugrats, SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, all in there.
Good.
Leonardo, Michelangelo, Lincoln Loud and Lucy Loud from the Loud House, Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy, and Nigel Thornberry are the confirmed characters thus far.
Powdered Toast Man from Ren and Stimpy. What a cut.
So they revealed the like box art, and I'm pretty sure Cora and Ren are both in there.
Cora! That's right. That is Nickelodeon. Oh.
Yeah. They have a pretty significant roster, so I feel like they could really pull some fun gets.
Nickelodeon does got a big roster. Who else would be a good company to do an all-stars based game at this point?
Disney owns pretty much everything, so they could put fucking Rey from
Marvel,
Star
Wars in there.
And yeah, also maybe Sora, I guess. I don't know if they own Kingdom Hearts or not, but they probably do at this point. I'm hoping for Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. I think that would be a good one. Also hoping for Cat Dog. I think a Cat Dog would make a very fun character to play. Switch up your like stance depending on who's in front.
What about the Very Angry Beavers? They could be good.
That would make a really good
trio.
Ice climbers sort of fighter. Yeah. Cow and Chicken, maybe.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
That was unfortunately
or was he Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network, yeah. I know. Tough. I would definitely fuck with Cartoon Network All-Stars. Sorry, anybody who's not. I apologize to anybody who's not a fucking 30-year-old nasty boy. This is probably a very boring conversation for you.
Ed, and Eddie?
Absolutely. Ed, and Eddie would be
right. That'd be good on Cartoon Network.
David, do you have something fueling your sense of podtimism?
All I'm going to say is I would main plank.
Oh, yeah, true.
I do. We touched on it earlier, but it's permadeath.
Ooh, permadeath. Hell yeah. Love that.
Yeah, it just makes me love the characters more. Like, if anything happens to Colonel Jane Warden Kelly, I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm gonna kill some
aliens, probably. I would imagine
either her or Kelly O'Brien. Those are my
Kelly
top.
Chambers. I don't know why my brain went there.
I think about that every single time that I see her name on there. Kelly Chambers. No, it's Kelly O'Brien chasing. She's a sharpshooter. She rips.
Cool.
And Jane is a ranger, and she rips.
Cool.
And man, if either of them die, I'm gonna be so sad.
Yeah. The ones. Did you start with them? Is that why you're like big into them?
Yeah, I started with those two, and then also my first recruit was Miyu Yamazaki. Mm-hmm. And she also rips. She's a specialist. Mm-hmm. Those are my top three.
I love permadeath. Yeah, you're totally right. There are a lot of good games that I like a lot that do permadeath. Mm-hmm. Probably the easiest one to point to is probably Fire Emblem. Like that's very obvious. Despite the fact that I play Fire Emblem in a way that like I just will not let anybody die. Like if somebody dies, I will restart the level over. They're not going to die. It's just not going to happen.
It's not happening. But it still gets you more invested.
Absolutely, because the threat's always there. And I know that they will follow through. FTL had good permadeath stuff. Because like if your crewmates died, that's it. And they also got experience. And so it was like quite a blow. Mm-hmm. Into the same sort of like FTL realm, Into the Breach had really good permadeath. And they let you like save people through runs, which was really cool. It made the devastating defeat a little bit less devastating, but still quite good. And then of course, Valkyria Chronicles, my man, you know how that be. The Valkyria Chronicles ones feel pretty bad because there's like, it feels like weighty. Like you feel bad when somebody dies. Not that you don't in the other ones, but like they really rub salt in the wound. They're like, you should feel bad about this one.
It was your decisions.
Yeah. I like Valkyria Chronicles. I feel like I haven't talked about that very much on this pod too much, but like that game that was another one that I feel like was just tailor made for me specifically.
Those are good games.
Yeah, they haven't changed very much. Like I played I think it was the one on Switch a year or two ago. Also very good. Pretty much the same game since the first one, but very enjoyable. Yeah, maybe we should talk about them at some point. Those are good video games. Oh yeah. Well, do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the middle segment.
Hey.
Thanks again to Ben Sound on YouTube for this music specifically.
Sterling and I are really grooving to this sexy beat.
I'm gyrating and looking at my computer screen.
I can confirm that his gyrations are very sexy.
Oh, yeah.
This is so uncomfortable.
It's time to make some content, baby.
Here we go.
Okay, so David and I have been playing some video games. I guess I don't need this music anymore. We've been playing specifically dating sims, which is not a genre that either of us really play at all.
Not at all.
And the thought was like, let's just like play a bunch of games that we don't really know about. Like at first it was like kind of a joke of like, well, let's play fucking dating simulators. But like for a little while, I was like, actually, I know nothing about this genre, and like, let's actually kind of like do this and see what secrets lay in here.
All right, keep your secrets.
This is we were talking about this a little bit before, but like you haven't played much dating simulation, right?
I've pretty much played 0 dating sims. They always made me feel pretty creepy. To be honest.
And I think that that's like worth looking at, and why, right? Like,
sure.
I think that like the kind and let's be clear here, when we're talking about dating simulators, I think colloquially we're mostly referring to like visual novels that are dating simulators. Like that kind of video game where it's a lot of like front facing character portraits, text on screen. Maybe sometimes you have decisions, but a lot of the time it's just like
you're just going out
with.
Press X,
you're mostly just
X,
reading.
Press X.
And like, that's fun. I like that. But I think that's kind of what we're referring to. I played a few that were not exactly that, but I think that like when we're thinking about that, I think that's kind of what we're pointing towards, because you and I have both played Persona at this point. We both played Mass Effect, and like there's a strong amount of dating in both of those games.
That's very true.
But that's not exactly what we were playing. But I think it is interesting to look at those and like kind of how they inform one another, because I think like the similarities between those games and these games are interesting, to say the least, I guess. So background, we haven't played a lot of these, kind of defined what it is. I think that's it. So structure wise, how about we do this? How about we take turns, just kind of go back and forth and talk about the games that we've played, what you sort of liked about them, what maybe you didn't enjoy quite as much, if you want to talk about that.
Sure.
And then sort of at the end, maybe we'll kind of round it up and see like what these things have in common, what they don't have in common, and like what value we see in this, because like I think we're both very much outsiders. And so I guess another caveat, if you're really into this, sorry, this is not going to be comprehensive. These opinions are probably not going to be the ones that like are super familiar. Like neither of us are enthusiasts on this. And so I think it's going to come off like that. I'm going to try really hard not to like be down on anything, or like, you know, say that I don't like something just because I haven't played it or it's unfamiliar. But I think for anybody who's really into this genre, we're going to sound like pretty fucking basic about a lot of this shit.
Yeah. I'm a basic bitch. I'm sorry. When it comes to dating sims, at least. So
no, I don't have a ton of exposure. So do you want to go first, or should I?
You go. I think you played more than me.
So maybe. I'm not sure. I didn't play a ton. Like it wasn't a heaping mound of video games. The first one I would like to start with, though, is Monstra City Bakery. This is a dating sim. Again, pretty like it seems pretty classic from my understanding of what I've played so far. Of you're like a broke college student, and your aunt says, "Hey, my bakery in Monster City is now yours. You should go and take it if you want to." And you like kind of go back and forth, and you're like, I don't know what to do. And then I think you're like RA tries to kick you out, or like the police or something, because you're staying in dorms over the holiday or something, and like you're not supposed to do that.
Wow.
And you're like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going. So you get on like a train or a bus or something and go to Monster City, which is like a city inhabited entirely by like monsters. And you are the only human there.
Sure.
Which is cool. All the characters
like
are
sexy monsters. Right?
Some of them are very moody and definitely very like attentive to your romance needs.
Sure.
And so I think like the thrust of the plot is like you and I think it's this like tiny little like fairy that helps you make the bakery goods. Like they've been running the bakery with your aunt for quite some time. And so like they know what to do, essentially. they're like helping you make all the cakes and the goodies and stuff. And so you're kind of like ramping up to being able to take over eventually. But most of it's like, you just got to go deliver the cupcakes or whatever, or like try and make a cake today. And none of that is mechanical, right? Like it's just like text that you're reading. And then a lot of it's like, which delivery do you want to make today? And that's more of like, who do you want to spend time with? It is pretty good. I found it like pretty charming. Like the world is like fairly well realized, and like I enjoy the writing enough. And I think that's like, after playing a few of these, something that I've realized is like, these games live or die on their writing. Like if the characters are bad or unbelievable or written not very well, it is just like so unenjoyable so quickly. Versus like if there's enough there, or in the people feel like real people somehow, quote unquote. Yeah, it's so much more enjoyable. And I did find it that way in this one. Ava, she's like this Cthulian monster that has like 8 tentacles and is like a single mom. That was like very much my person in Monstra City. Couldn't wait to go hang out with her. All right. Everybody else was like, okay, I see who this would be for, but it's not really for me. What's the dude's name? Deathwing. He's like a punk dude who's, I'm pretty sure he's like a dragon. Yeah.
Is like World of Warcraft?
Not that big. I guess. Yeah. No, not that Deathwing. What is this fucking, is it Doomwing? Hell Doom something?
He just brought about the cataclysm to Monstra City.
I think it's Doomwing.
Doom. Okay. Obviously a Deathwing.
Yeah. Not Deathwing. Doomwing. Huh? And like, I don't know. Everybody else is like, I kind of get what they're going for. And it just didn't really strike me as like, ooh, that's my person. The first person that you come in contact with is, I think it's a werewolf named Andy. I was like, I would love to just be friends with Andy.
Werewolf named Andy. That's an indie rock band's name.
Absolutely. Werewolf named Andy. Damn. But he's like, going through like some scholastic troubles and is like clearly kind of depressed, and like, I'm like, I get it, Andy. Like, I'm here with this, but like, man, I don't know if I really want to be around this all the time. And Ivo was just like my jam. She was like, she showed up at, I think I was at like a school or something, and her kid was there, and she was like bringing him around, and like her kid was like super abrasive, and I thought that was hilarious, and like got to know her a little bit better. I'm like, you're just like a very cool mom. I love this. Yeah. So she was my girl. I didn't play all the way through the game. I played a demo of this game, which was like 5 hours long.
That's a long ass demo.
It's a big demo. I was like, okay. So whenever this game fully comes out, I'm like very much ready to buy it with real money, because it is worth it. It's pretty good. You can date like a gigantic spider, which I thought was like incredible. But something. So here's something. Before we really get to the end of this, something that I've noticed that is like very weird to me is, in these dating simulators, it is, how to say this, in a similar way to how like shooters feel like a power fantasy for violence. A lot of dating simulators very much feel like a power simulation for romance. Sure. In that literally everybody you run into is probably interested in you in some way or another. And that feels very weird to me. Like my experience of it, I'm like, I guess I could date anybody, right? Like that's a thing whenever I'm running into these new characters. And some of them, a handful in Monstra City are just immediately like, what's up, cutie? Let's hang out. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to date you yet.
You're coming on a little strong.
Yeah. And so like that part of it, I found a little bit odd in times. And I think in this one too, I think it's, a little bit more of the genre of like, every major character is kind of into you. But I'll talk about the other end of that in a little bit, but it was just interesting. And like, I think if you kind of turn your brain off in a similar way to sometimes you can in shooters, where it's like the conceit of this world is that is what's going on, or like, I'm just the most interesting or attractive person to everybody here. Okay. Like that's a conceit I can make in my head and just kind of like go along with it. But I think coming into this genre without much context, that was like very much the most foreign part to me, that I was like, why is everybody really into me? I don't like, this isn't how it works. This isn't how this goes.
Come on.
I mean, right. That's literally the argument, is like, come on, like, it's fine.
Yeah. You're a beautiful man, Chase.
Sure. But like, I
don't
bet
give me sure. Give me yes, I am. David.
Sure, David, but is Doomwing into me? I don't know that Doomwing is going to be into me.
Doomwing's totally into you, man.
It's possible. Anyway, so that was Monstra City Bakery. I like this game a lot. It's also like very indie. Like, I think they just have a Tumblr page for their website, which I loved. Yeah. Do you want to tell me about one of your games that you played?
Oh, yeah.
What's your first one?
I played Dream Daddy.
Talk to me about Dream Daddy.
Dream Daddy is a legitimately good game.
Okay, hell yeah, I love that.
This game is great. I really enjoy Dream Daddy.
Yeah.
It's so wholesome and pure and sweet.
Yeah. Okay.
The writing is great.
Sure.
So the premise is you're a dad and your ex has died somehow. Your former spouse has passed away, and left you, a single parent, to your teenage daughter, who is so precocious. Oh my gosh, she is so full of life and energy. Cool. She's very funny and cool. Yeah, and you have that nice banter with her. And then you move to the other side of town because you're like, I can't be in this house anymore. Reminds me of my dead spouse. And then you move into a cul-de-sac with all these
dream daddies.
Very attractive dads. Very attractive dads. So yeah, it just kind of takes you through and you like meet all these guys. There's the guy at the coffee shop. There's the guy who was your like bro in college who was good at keg stands. There's the guy who's like really into gothic stuff and like wears a cape. There's the youth pastor who's great at grilling. There's the big like macho fishing daddy who's got a really smart daughter who you do a little battle with. That's Brian.
I'm looking at the character list.
You do a really cool battle with him when you first meet him. Yeah. Because he like throws a frisbee at your head accidentally. Yeah. And he and his daughter come over and then he like lightly brags about his daughter. And then all of a sudden it goes into a Pokemon-esque battle scene and you have to brag about your daughter and fight him in comparison.
That's pretty great. I like that.
And there's brag, there's daughter, there's item, and there's flee. If you choose daughter, it says you only got the one, so you can't switch. And in your bag, there's like an old like Band-Aid, a report card, an old like photo of something she drew because she's an artist. And then there's just like brag saying like what your daughter did. I ended up losing to Brian because apparently his daughter is really smart and accomplished and mine is awesome but not as accomplished. So that was a big letdown, but still my daughter's the best. Sure. But no, it's a very sweet, wholesome, engaging, very fun, very well written, like legitimately funny game.
Which is so hard to do in video games in general, but I imagine even harder in a dating simulator.
Yeah, I'm very impressed, honestly, by the level of writing and how they make it good because they really lean heavily into the dad puns. Oh, and they got some solid puns in there, and the dad jokes are real good. There's some quality dad jokes in here. There's a scene where all the dads are at like a barbecue for the block. And each dad takes a turn doing a dad joke about what is going on, like a barbecue related dad joke.
Hell yeah.
And then when my favorite one, can I just say my favorite dad joke of these ones?
Please. Yeah.
He's like the grill master dad. That all the other dads are just like, we don't even try to grill when he's around because he's the best. He's like, all right, everybody line up in the barbecue.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Oh my God. Woo, that one got me. I was like,
you like that?
Mental note. I'm saving this one for later. This is a good quality dad joke. Oh my God. So good. So yeah, just a legitimately funny, good, engaging game. Also, they let me make my character Goku, which is great.
Like you created a character and made him look like Goku, or you chose Goku out of a lineup?
You can create your character, but there are two different presets for hair and eyes. Space Warrior hair, Space Warrior eyes. Goku hair, Goku eyes. And then I gave him glasses, like dark purple lips with like a snarl and like a toothpick and like a handlebar mustache. Whoa. And a bunch of earring piercings in his ear, like a bunch of septum piercings.
I love that. That's really good.
That's a bad daddy.
Who was your pick in this one? Do you have to pick a dad?
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of good options. I definitely in the beginning I was just like, I'm just gonna be a promiscuous dad for a bit.
Okay,
so I hooked up with Robert because he was just like, let's do this. And I was like, okay,
he's like the
Rob.
bad boy, right?
He's the bad boy. He is very mysterious. Yeah. His dad book profile is very very terse, if I do say so myself. Book. Yeah, there's dad book where all the dads have a profile just saying like answering different questions about like, what would you bring to a deserted island? What's your ideal date? What do you often think about? Stuff like that. And you can like message him on there. Mm-hmm. So I hooked up with him, left my daughter alone at home with her friends, but everything was fine because they're responsible. Oh, okay. But I did unlock the bad dad achievement for that one.
Oh no.
My bad.
My dad.
But the ones that I'm really into, I'm having a hard time choosing. I haven't beaten the game yet, but it's between Matt and Hugo for me.
Ooh, sure.
Maybe a little bit of, I think it's Joseph also. He's a sleeper. Joseph's a sleeper.
Joseph is like the kind of preppy dude.
Yeah, he looks real preppy, but he's got tattoos and he's a youth minister, and there's definitely something that's been going on in his past. He's also great at grilling. He's the top griller.
Interesting. Yeah, hell yeah. What's your vibe with Hugo and Matt? Why do you like those fellas?
Matt likes coffee. I love coffee.
Sure.
Matt likes music. I love music.
Sure.
So he seems like a good vibe.
Yeah.
Hugo, I like his fit. I like his style.
He does look pretty stylish. I'm looking at a picture of him now.
He's wearing like 3-piece suits and shit. He's a teacher, which is kind of cool.
Like that.
He's also a very intelligent man, but his son's kind of a shithead. So I don't know if it's going to work out. So
tough.
We'll see. Matt's kid, Carmencita, she seems chill. Yeah. She gets along with my daughter.
Nice.
Joseph's kids are kind of weird, but there's something definitely going on. Joseph's married, but there's definitely some strife there. Definitely some strife I'm picking up. Haven't dug too deep. I probably played like 4-ish hours of this game so far, maybe. So I'm not like too deep into it, but I'm definitely pulling at the different layers of the dads.
Something you said earlier, I feel like is like pretty indicative of the genre as a whole, as I've played it so far, is that there is a lot of sweetness in a lot of these games.
Yeah.
A lot of parts of it are like intentionally very unstressful.
Yeah.
It is the parts of Mass Effect that like is just the talking to characters. And like, I really like that part. And I think I like that in a lot of these games too, is like just sort of seeing who this person is incredibly interesting if it's a well-written person. Like,
no, yeah, all these characters in this game are well written, but yeah, definitely it has to be a well-written, like deep character that surprises you in some ways.
Yeah, because if it's just like, this is the one note, very flat character, it's not quite as good.
Exactly.
Well, hell yeah. Do you have anything else to say about Dream Daddy?
It's really good, and I think anybody would enjoy it, honestly.
Yeah. It looked really enjoyable. I like definitely saw a lot of buzz about this one. This definitely seems like one that kind of broke through a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because that's almost a funny conceit for a game. Like for somebody who hasn't played a lot of dating simulators, like if you just look at this, you're like, what the fuck? Like it's kind of a wild idea, but I think like them sneaking in, well, good writing. I get not even sneaking in. Yeah. Like it's like kind of funny on the face of it, but like if you actually play it, you're like, oh, it's pretty fucking good.
You can be like nasty Sailor Boy Goku too.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's definitely a plus. I can't be that in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That is not an option available to me. No.
But no, it's a legitimately good game. You know, Dream Daddy, it's a funny name, right?
Yeah.
It's just bringing the people in, it's getting them interested.
Sure.
But it actually hits you with some real shit.
Well, hell yeah. I like that you liked this. I'm glad that you liked this. I was worried that like we were going to come away just like, this sucks. Like these kinds of games suck.
No, I'm going to keep playing this game.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Keep playing Dream Daddy.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, there's a couple of games that I'm also going to like kind of continue poking at. Can I change to the next game?
Yeah, let me hear it.
So the next game that I played with, a little bit less, I will say, than Monster City Bakery is Monster Prom. Monster Prom was another.
You're big on the monsters.
I know. I don't know why I got there. I think like the non-human part of it like allows me to like suspend my disbelief a little bit.
Sure.
The one game that I played that was humans was very weird. And it was also a very weird video game. We'll get to that in a second. But like that part of it, I was like, I don't think humans are like normally this, like they don't act like this, but it's like monsters. I don't really know. Like, I don't know how they act.
They could do, they could be anyway.
So I think that helped me sort of like suspend my disbelief a little bit. I'm sure like this episode will now get me a bunch of emails saying like, hey, maybe you're a furry now. I don't think so, but you know, who knows? Maybe
you are.
Maybe I am. I just haven't explored that part of it. And then we play a bunch of dating simulators, and that's where I go. Monster Prom is pretty good.
Sorry, Emily Alex.
Yeah, Lo siento. It doesn't mean I'm not into humans, but just like also maybe this is a thing now.
But is Emily Else into furries is the question.
I would say a resounding no. From volume at 11, no.
Sing it from the mountaintops.
Yeah, no. I think that is probably bet my life on that one.
I'd say that's fair.
Monster Prom was good. It does exactly what it says on the tin. You are going to Monster High School and you're going to Monster Prom. That's pretty much it. I found this one a little bit more like deep mechanically. Like there's a lot going on here. I feel like a lot of the dating sims have a tendency to be, like we said, sort of like throwing a wall of text at you. But like there's a lot going on in this game. And I kind of liked that they like kind of programmed in a little bit more mechanics to it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. I thought it was pretty charming. It's like sweet in the same way, but it's like maybe a little spicier than Monster City. I think Monster City was very much like just sweetness, and Monster Prom is a little bit like there's some drama going on between these monsters, and I kind of like that.
So Monstra City is like a dried mango, but this one's like a dried mango with some tahini on it or something.
Absolutely, yeah,
some
spice to it. Absolutely,
come on, which is still mangoes. Good. Sponsor us already.
Please sponsor us. Big dried mango.
big dried mango.
So yeah, I don't know that I have a ton to say about this one because I feel like I said a lot of it with Monster City, but it's fun. Like I think that as we talk about this more and more, I think the thing that I would come back to and I would come back for is the positivity that a lot of these games bring. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're incredibly comforting and like, what's the word I'm looking for? Because it is so detached from reality and like is very much like fantasy fulfillment in the way that, you know, you can pursue whoever you want to. And it is a world totally unlike your own. Mm-hmm. That part of it is like, it's very much escape, but not in like a bad way, right? Like, you know, the escapism that I think is in a lot of video games sometimes is, you know, escape to like violence, which kind of sucks. Like that's kind of a bummer that is where we go to.
These are escape to love and relationships. And caring.
Like I think with Monster Prom a little bit too, like the drama of it was kind of fun to me. In, you know, I hear people talk about that with like reality TV, that like the drama's a lot. And like that has never really gotten to me. I've never like, I don't know, that seems like kind of a bummer when it's like real people. But I think when it's fake people, it's a lot easier for me. It's a lot more fun to be like, these aren't like real people. This
isn't a real person.
No, like they feel well written. Oh God, yeah, we'll get there, dude. But they feel well written, but in a way that doesn't make me feel like bad when, you know, things are going kind of haywire. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I like this game a lot. It's very stylized. I love sort of like the vibe of it.
Sure.
I think this came out in like 2018. So yeah, I think this is definitely one of the more popular ones. And I will say that like, this is kind of a sidebar, but we didn't play anything that was like considerably older. I did watch the 4 or 5 hour YouTube video that Tim Rogers did about Tokimeki Memorial, the like dating simulator from the 90s. That game seems like a lot. And like,
how so?
It's mechanically very dense. Like it is a lot of time management and like it's definitely more than just like listening to what this person is saying. Like there's just a lot of other mechanics in there. It's also like, I don't know, very unattainable. Like it didn't look particularly fun to me, but I really appreciate that Tim Rogers in his Tim Rogers way walked through Tokimeki Memorial. I think he played all of them actually, or maybe it was just one of them all the way through. I forget. Honestly, I took a nap in the middle of it. I watched the first couple hours, and then he was like, okay, here's like the 2-hour playthrough of me going through this part of the game. I was like, okay. And then like just his dulcet low tones, one after the other, Tim Rogers kind of deal is like, just put me right to bed. It was really nice.
Star Trek vibes, huh?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, absolutely. A Voyager kind of sleepy. What else did you play?
My next question is, did you play more than 3?
I played... Yeah, so I have 2 more, one of which is the one that I think we both played.
Okay, then talk about your other one first, because I only played 2.
Okay, sure. So the other one that I've been playing, and this is a game that I heard through the grapevine, and through the grapevine, I mean, listened to a podcast where they said they were playing it. The wonderful Into the Aether was covering a video game named Tender, which is a dating simulator on your phone. It's a mobile game.
Ooh,
and I was like, hey, yeah. And I was like, hey, this is right up our alley. We're just about to talk about dating simulators. This is the other end of this genre. This is dating that feels way too real.
Oh, no.
Way too real.
Oh, no.
Oh my God. Okay, so this game, you play it on your phone, and it looks just like Tinder.
Oh, no.
And functions a lot like it.
Oh, God. I'm getting anxiety already.
I like thought I was going in for kind of a fun game, and I was like, I bet this isn't going to be that crazy. Whew, Tender. Okay, let me kind of walk you through what happens. So you set up a profile initially, and it's like, what do you want to say about yourself? And it's just like kind of pre-written choices that you can do of like, I want to say this one thing of 3 things, and then it'll present you with another 3 and then another 3 until you've crafted your profile, and you can choose like one of 4 profile pictures, all of which are like, it's all cartoons, right? Like this, I'll show you. This is my profile picture.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That definitely is very you.
It felt among the 3 or 4, it felt like the most like me. So that was cool. And essentially the way the game plays out is that you swipe left or right on people that you are interested in. And they're all like the thrust of the game is that you have come to a planet that is meant entirely for singles to go like meet other people on. Or maybe it's just the app. I'm not sure. I wasn't paying attention in the beginning. I was like 3 whiskeys deep and I was like, I want to play a video game. Anyway, so you like swipe left or right and it plays out in like real time, right? So like I swiped right on like 10 people and then it's like, hey, you should come back tomorrow because you're out of swipes or whatever. It's like, okay. And then, at 9 p.m. it said, hey, this person that you swiped right on you too. And then they'll start a conversation with you, or you will have to start a conversation. None of them are real. You're not like connecting with other people, but they have like so intelligently programmed how these conversations play out that I'm like, oh God,
this is terrifying.
This is both terrifying and like very accurate. Like there was a brief period of time where I was on these sort of dating apps.
I remember your profile.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking good and strong. I don't remember what my Tinder profile looks like at all. And so like you start talking to these people and like the conversations are just so wild. Some of them are fine. And like, I guess I should explain a little bit. The way that the conversation plays out is it literally looks like a messenger app. Like, and the way that you respond to somebody is that you'll click into your chat bar. It'll present you with like 3 options and you click on one of those depending on which one you want to say. So like, it's either, for this current one I'm in, I can say, got it, I see, or go on, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it'll type something out. It feels kind of Mass Effect-y in that way, where you like kind of just choose like a vibe, and sometimes it'll say more, sometimes it'll say less. Mm-hmm. But this one's a little rough. There's a lot of like, hey, what's your sign? And then I'm like, I was born October, so I'm a Libra. I'm like, oof, sorry, we don't connect. And then just an immediate unmatch. I'm like, oh, okay.
Because you're a Libra?
You can go, yeah.
You believe in the scales of justice. That's nothing to be ashamed of, Chase.
They said we would never get anything done and we would sit in an eternity of saying whatever you want to do until we both died. And I was like, well, it's not wrong, but it feels bad. So anyway, the point of the game is that you're supposed to go on dates with these people, which you schedule in real time. You have to say, okay, tomorrow at 4 p.m. is when we're going to go on a date. And you have to pull out your phone at 4 p.m. and be like, okay, let's go on this date. And so like that part of it is very kind of nerve wracking because I don't want to have to reschedule and I really don't want to bail. Very much like real life. If I am like late to something, I feel like the worst human being on the planet. And so like I'm like, I can't bail on this little virtual person I'm dating.
What happens if they ghost you or if you ghost them?
I don't know. I haven't even dared to do it yet. It's like too much for me. I can't do it. There's been this funny kind of wrinkle in the game. You can, in the beginning, you say like, they say, hey, did you it sounds like you just got broken up with. What was the name of your ex? And so I was like, of course, Gorblix the Destroyer is who I'm going to be naming my ex.
Was that an option that they gave you or did you just
No, I put that in. I put that in because like I wanted to know very much when the game brought them back out that this is who it was. Cause I was like, I don't want to get the runaround. If this is Gorblix, I want to know. Sure enough, Gorblix the Destroyer showed up on my feed. Had to swipe right. Had to say hello. I am unfortunately going on a date with Gorblix the Destroyer tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes.
Chase, come on. It's your ex, buddy. Come on.
I know. Maybe the timing wasn't right. Who knows?
She ripped your heart out and ate it in front of you.
I don't know. They don't tell you. They don't tell you what the
Gorblix does. Gorblix the Destroyer. What else would Gorblix the Destroyer do?
Yeah, I guess so.
Come on.
Anyway, this dating simulator is the opposite of these other ones. It is very realistic, very stressful. I feel the same amount of social anxiety whenever like somebody's just throwing pickup lines at me and I'm like, I don't know what to say to this. Like they'll be like, hey, how much does a polar bear wear? I'm like, I'm gonna have to break the ice and like try and start a conversation. And then they won't say anything to me for 4 hours. And then they come back with another pickup line. I'm like, what are we doing here? What is this?
The game will message you 4 hours later?
4 hours later in real time. Yeah.
That's fucked up. Oh my God, dude. It's
not instantaneous.
That's not chill.
It plays. No, it feels very realistic. And the worst kind is like when I'm like kind of vibing with someone and then just like I'll say something and nothing for like days. Like nothing has come up. I'm like, oh my God, like did I say something stupid that they just don't like? So in the opposite sort of fashion, this game is stressful and very unsweet and feels very much like actual real dating, which is a tough place to be.
Nobody wants to actually simulate dating. Nobody actually wants to do that. Come on, game.
I'm pretty sure Into the Aether talked about this, and yeah, they put out their episode today. So, a couple of days ago, by the time you hear this, that the game is just too effective at what it's trying to do. They made such a good video game that I'm like, the design that they put out, they realized so effectively that I'm like, oh my God, this is kind of a lot. Like they have made the game too accurate.
Yeah.
Which isn't a complaint. That's not a criticism. It's just like I am feeling what they want me to feel, and it's a lot.
I mean, is it not a criticism because does it hinder your enjoyment of the experience?
A little bit, but like that shouldn't be the metric by which something is judged. I think you should judge it for like what they're trying to do, and what they're trying to do, I think they have done phenomenally. It's just I don't know if I can do it all the time.
Fair enough.
It is such a true to life and real experience of what it is like to be on one of these dating apps and like is bringing up the same emotions in a totally fictionalized world. Nothing is going to happen if I delete this app. Like literally nothing. My life will be the same. And these fictional characters will not give a shit because they're fictional characters. But like, I'm still very much tied to it. I don't want to bail on somebody. I feel very weird when somebody ghosts me. I feel very weird when somebody immediately after a date says, hey, we didn't click, and then unmatches me. Damn. All that sort of stuff is just like, oh. Yeah, that's another dating simulator I've been playing.
Well,
let's talk about the one that we both played.
That might be scarier than the one we're about to talk about.
In a different way, yes. We also both played Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yeah, sure did.
Which is a whole lot of a video game, David.
Sure is. Yeah.
You didn't know very much about this game before you played it, right?
I knew there was going to be like
some fuckery.
Twist, a fuckery of some sort.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like what exactly was supposed to happen.
Me neither. And I loved that about it.
Yeah.
I think kind of a forewarning, we will almost certainly get into like spoiling this game, and it is worth playing unspoiled completely. If you feel like you are at all interested in this, please stop it. I will definitely put chapter markers in here so you can skip ahead.
Yeah, it's just skip ahead to our video game wisdom of the week.
Yeah, I'll put a little spot for you to just skip ahead, and you can avoid all the Doki Doki Literature Club spoilers because it is like a pretty fun experience. It's a pretty wild ride if you don't know what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's talk about this video game. Do you want to maybe like go over what kind of the setup is, the conceit, and like how this game kind of plays out?
Sure. So the conceit is that it is a dating simulator. You are a high school student in, I'm guessing, Japan.
It seems like it.
It seems like it. And you have a good friend of yours, a childhood friend, who is a girl. You are presumably I mean, I guess it doesn't mean you're a man or a woman, but I don't think they ever gender you in the game, do they?
I feel like they might have. I feel like I may have.
Oh, no. I mean, when they come to the club, Natsuki's all like, oh, you brought a boy. So, yeah, they did gender you.
Yes, exactly. Yes, they do gender you.
So you're a man. You're a boy. And your female childhood friend convinces you to join her club because they need another member to make them a full club. Is that true?
Not in the
beginning. Not in the beginning. They just want another member.
Yeah, she was like concerned with your well-being. I think that like, hey, you're not doing anything. Like, you should come have fun in this club that I have because it's a great place.
Yeah, come to my club. So you go and you join the club because OMG, there are so many cute girls there.
That's in the text, right? Like it's like, oh my gosh, all these pretty ladies
he's like,
are
he
here.
wanted to join the anime club, but he's like, man, there's so many cute girls here. All these girls are incredibly cute. I have to join the literature club now. Yep. Just ridiculous conceit. But, teenage boy checks out, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah.
As a former teenage boy.
And also feels in line to me, having only played a handful of these games, where I'm like, I guess this is just what we're doing. Like, yeah, it felt like very much fantasy fulfillment in the way that like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess, there's nobody else here, and more than likely I can date someone here.
Yeah. It doesn't give you a choice. It's just like, this is what you're doing. Here we go.
Yeah.
So that's the conceit of the game.
Yeah.
You go through, you like write poetry for each other. When you can pick different words in in the game when you're writing the poetry to try to impress different girls in the club.
Yeah.
So there's 3 girls in the beginning that you're trying to impress, or you can choose to try to impress, and picking certain words will make them like you more or less, right?
Yeah, I think the story is that you're kind of adhering to whatever kind of writing that they like, and they'll enjoy what you've written the night before or whatever.
Or like their personality of some sort, right? You're trying to appease them. So you do that, and the game goes, and it seems like it's very cute and it's fun, and it's like, these girls are very nice to you and they love you, blah, blah, blah.
It's very cutesy for like hours. I feel like the first like hour and a half is like just kind of straight down the middle dating simulator.
Yeah, very, very stereotypical.
Or at least in my small understanding of it.
Yeah, no, most definitely. But things start to get go a little sideways at the end of this first chapter of the game.
Yeah.
The music starts being a little minor toned music instead of the major tone that it's been prevalent throughout the game.
The one song that it's been playing too. The same song. Yeah.
The one song. But yeah, I going from here, I think we're going to be talking more about like the spoilery parts of the game. So should I continue?
Yes, both spoiler and a little bit of content warning that there's like some suicide stuff that happens in the game. So
yeah, there's some major suicide stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm short selling it. There's some major suicide stuff.
Your good childhood friend, and all these girls are like clearly in love with you because it's a dating simulator game.
Yes.
So you, throughout the game, choose different girls to choose a specific girl essentially to court. Almost always, I think, in the first part of the game, no matter what you do, it's always going to end up with your childhood friend who is like Sayori, who is very much in love with you, getting her heart broken as you almost kiss another one of the girls in the club. It then goes into a very heartbreaking confession of love or not love. And then the girl Sayori confessing that she's had depression pretty much her whole life.
Yeah.
And you've been totally oblivious to it because you are one of the few things that makes her happy in the world.
Right. Yeah.
And makes her not depressed, essentially.
Yeah.
So it throws you in that position of, okay, so now you know all this is going on. And then after she tells you that, she sees you almost kiss this other girl in the club. She's like, that was like, I'm so happy that you are, she says it's like, she's so happy that you're like branching out and meeting new people and having a good time. But she also says that it was like, one of the most painful thing that she's ever experienced in her life. And it made her feel like her heart was ripping in half. And you're like, oh my God. Oh my God. What have I done?
Feels pretty bad. Yeah.
So yeah, they really do a good job of then making these cutesy sprites look incredibly sad.
Yeah, just really rough. And the game's like the sprites that they've been showing, or like the characters that they've been showing, have mostly been to like one or two like facial animations so far. Mm-hmm. It's like they have happy and they're neutral and then maybe like an embarrassed or something like that. But like
pretty much that's it. Yeah.
There's little changes that they start making, especially for Sayori in the beginning, where like she's looking scary, like very sad and like crazed, or I guess maybe manic, you know, like just out of character.
Yeah.
Which is like very unsettling.
So yeah, then you're given the option. I don't know which one you chose. Like when she's telling you all these things, like this made me feel so bad. Like, what do I do from here with all these emotions? You're like trying to comfort her, and you had the option to say like, I love you, or you're my dearest friend.
I gave her the friend one. I wanted to be real with her.
I said I love her.
Oh, interesting. I was pursuing Yuri pretty hard at this moment.
Yeah, no, I was kind of down for Sayori from the beginning.
Oh, okay, sure. So you were into her. Yeah. You weren't being dishonest here.
No, I was like, you're the sleepy, hungry one. I'm into it.
Yeah.
So you tell her that. And at least for me, she like hugs you and she's like, thank you. Like that. Like why, but still like, why don't I feel good? Why am I not happy even after you say that? You're like, I don't know. I'll see you tomorrow. And then you wake up in the morning and you usually like walk to the bus together, but she doesn't show up.
Yep.
Doesn't show up. And so you're like, should I go check on her? And you're like, no, I shouldn't. That's kind of intrusive to go and check on her. So you go to school carrying something for the festival, right? Something like that.
Think so. This may have played out a little bit differently for me because I feel like I went in the morning to check on her.
Oh, you did?
I think so. I'm not positive. I could be misremembering.
I went to school first, and then it gave me the option to be able to go back and like find her. After Monica was like, oh, isn't that funny after your conversation yesterday that you didn't even go and check on her?
This did happen. I do remember that.
Yeah. So then you go back, go into her house, open the door to her room, and there she is, hung herself, dead.
Yeah. It's like the transition from like, it builds that tension really, really well. Like
it does, yeah.
All of the transitions between most of the scenes have been these soft fade outs from one to the other. And like the transition into that scene is just this hard cut. And it is like both terrifying on like a game level and like the obvious, like this is a lot different than I thought it was. And like, I think this game is really fun and really cool. But that was the one moment where I was like, holy shit, this might be too heavy for me. This might be a lot for me to deal with at this very moment. Cause like there's another, I don't know who you sort of went through for the second run, but there's like another kind of similar moment, but it wasn't nearly as like shocking to me. And I think it was just because like the game had been so happy-go-lucky, and then like there is suicide is thrust into your face in this one.
Yeah. You know, you're going along and there's still that happy-go-lucky song going in the background. And then once this starts happening, that like goes away and the silence is deafening.
Yeah, I think it's just completely silent that day.
It's just there's no music. So yeah, that happens. And
your character like comes apart like in that moment, like is just like, this is fucked. I'm fucked. I can't believe everything is happening. It does like, I love it when a game does this, when it like glitches out and pretends to have crashed. It like resets itself. Like you boot back out to the title screen. It like starts you over, and Sayori's like character model is all like glitched out and fucked up, which is phenomenal and like just scary. The music is a little weird too, if I remember correctly.
The music starts going minor and like getting pitched down.
Yes.
So it sounds extra fucked.
Yeah, it did that in Fez. It did in this one. I was just like, as much as that scene before, it was a shock and like kind of intense. I was like, once I sort of got over that mood, I was like, okay, I see what the game is doing now. And I'm like very much on board for that, because it's definitely not a dating simulator anymore. Like, it's a different thing. Yeah.
No, it's something else.
It's almost sort of, we'll get back to sort of like what happens in the rest of it in a second here, but like, it's very odd that we picked this one as like one of our games, because it's almost like we're coming into the genre a little hot. Like, it would be as if we're like, hey, I haven't seen any horror movies before. I'm going to start with Cabin in the Woods, though.
I was about to say movie. Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, it's like the genre piece that sort of takes all of the tropes and shit and sort of puts it on its head and tries to like say something about the genre. And so it's almost kind of a lot, right? It's similar to like Final Fantasy VII Remake in that it's saying something about remakes. And like in one way that's incredibly good, but also sort of weird to have this be the first one. But yeah, we'll sort of touch on that in a little bit. I think we should keep going through the rest of the story.
Yeah. So then it like brings you back to the title screen. And originally in the title screen, it showed all 4 of the girls in the book club, the literature club, on the title screen. But now Sayori's not there. Where New Game used to be, there's just a bunch of like, I don't even know what that font type is. Do you know what it is?
No, it was just like some like weird character font where it's like none of it really, it's unreadable. Yeah.
So that's an option. So you're like, of course you're going to choose that one. So you click on it and then it starts the game from the beginning. Except
the same space.
Yeah. Except now Sayori is not there. She's just out. She's gone. And she was definitely like the happy-go-lucky, nice one, kind of like the glue that held everybody together. So now you experience the story again without her there. And you can like, there's a lot more fighting between the other members of the club, a lot more crying because
Monica is like, immediately much weirder too.
Yeah, Monica is very weird. She's always like looking straight at you. Yeah, so definitely some weird vibes going on. And then now every once in a while, like we were talking about, like the pitch goes down on the songs. It goes like minor tone every now and then, minor key. And then also you're going through these conversations that you've had before with these characters. But then sometimes there will be instances where the character will all of a sudden have like black like dots over their eyes and like they'll like have these big like bolded letters going over their other text they had been saying before. Natsuki, she had like a bunch of like manga books in the closet, and in the original story, like Monica, the club president, had moved them, and she was like, Monica, God, why did she move them? And then this time when she does that, instead of saying, Monica, why did she move them? It's so annoying, she just says, fucking Monica, and like bolded letters underneath and like glitches out for a second. Spooky. Continue. What were you saying? Yeah,
I was just going to say, it's like, it's sort of inferring that this is what the character is maybe thinking, or what they've like really thought or something, and like is definitely making at least the contrast that like this is very different than what happened before. In mind, like I was dating Yuri the first time, and like it was pretty straight up the middle, like just dating simulator, and I started out trying to like maybe date Natsuki, but I was like, no, I think once I realized that things were a little bit fucky, I was like, no, I want to go back and see what Yuri is doing different this time. And she's just like depraved, like all sorts of like very wild shit that she's saying. I'm like, oh my God, this is not what I was expecting. Like it's obsessive. Again, it's very happy. It's like in the first one, it's very happy-go-lucky, and she's sort of like quiet and maybe like, you know, doesn't know how to come out of her shell. And this one, she is just like over the top sort of wild shit going on. Very obsessive. I think like that second sort of run through, a lot of it is just defined by what is different since the first one, and the characters that you are like interacting with, again, sort of just like they kind of start to fly off the rails in ways that didn't happen the first time. And not to mention the game itself is also seemingly breaking a lot. Like there are many moments when shit starts to kind of get weird, and like at times it just skips completely from the day directly into the night part where you're like writing poetry or whatever. And then other times, like when you're choosing the poetry, things will get fucking hinky. There was one time, what happened? It was like, so there were only 2 people left. It was just Monica and Natsuki, because for whatever reason this whole time, I guess we forgot to mention this, but it's kind of important, is that you're not really allowed to really pursue Monica at all. I think the game's sort of idea is like, well, she's, you know, popular or whatever, so like she's way out of my league, or
way out of my league,
something like that. It kind of doesn't make a lot of excuses. It's just like, whatever. And like the game just mechanically doesn't ever address it. And so, that's sort of weird. But one of the times I was writing the like nighttime poetry thing, I chose one of the words, and whenever you're doing it, there's like these little avatars off to the left that represent any of the characters. And at this point there was only Natsuki and Yuri left in the game because Sayori was gone. And I chose one of the words, and a third one popped out from underneath the page, which was Monica's. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? Like, was I able to do this the whole time? And like kept trying to find the word that would bring her back up. I was like, I can't find her anymore. Yeah.
She was in there, huh?
She was like below the page, essentially. Like she just popped up for a second to indicate like, that was my word or whatever.
Damn.
It's very good. Who did you like fully pursue in that second run?
And the second run I did Yuri. I think the first run I did Natsuki.
Okay. Yuri's ending in this one is fucking brutal.
Yeah.
The game, she's becoming more and more unhinged, and like a couple of times, God, there's just like terrifying, very scary scenes where she like pulls you into the closet and she's like, I just want to stare at you. And like,
yeah, and she's got like her crazy eyes. Her eyes are like darting around all over the place, like super wide eyed.
And not only that, it's incredibly dark in the scene. And so like, I was like, am I really seeing like that part of it? I was playing it on the Switch, by the way. So like, probably a different experience. But I was like, is that really happening? Before I can really like tell what's going on in there, it just like snaps you back into the other room where Monica's like, hey, what's going on? Just pulled you out of there. And then like the scene ends with her being like, hey, I have this knife that I love. It's like so beautiful and pretty. And then she like locks everybody outside of the room and then like just like starts stabbing herself.
Yep.
And then just like collapses over dead, which is like more, I think, like viscerally scary than like Sayori's whole thing was. Because this one's like very much more violent. And like at this point, you're kind of expecting something to break bad at some point. And so it wasn't quite as terrifying, but was still just like, holy shit.
Yep.
And then the game, like this was wild. It like forces you. It doesn't expect that to happen. The game didn't expect that to happen. And so like it doesn't provide you any options to not like to have any recourse after that. It just like sort of makes you sit there while she's like talking this like unintelligible gibberish that's coming out of her mouth. And so like
just for the whole weekend, you have to be there.
Like
this happens on a Friday in the game.
Yeah. And so you're supposed to like wait for the sun to go down or whatever. And so there's like a bunch of different things you can do. You could try like skipping the dialogue, which will just make it go faster. I tried saving and reloading. It just brought me back to the same place. I tried starting a new game. It started me back to the same place.
Really?
Yeah. It like, it knows where you are in the game and it's just putting you back there. And eventually it shows up again on Monday. And like you've been there the whole weekend in the game. And Monica's like, oh shit, didn't realize that was what's going to happen. Sorry. And then just like turns the whole game off again and starts you back over. And I can't remember if it was it after this one that you kind of reappear in that weird wild space scene with her?
Yeah. Because she after this one, you see in the top left corner like a command screen, like a programming command screen, and
it's like a terminal. Yeah.
And Monica's like, oh, don't worry, I'll just like delete their character profiles, no problem. And then it's just like Natsuki.chr delete, Yuri.chr delete. You're like, oh, what the fuck is going on here?
What is happening? Yeah. It's the way the game starts over. I think you either have to go into new game or it may just pick you back up there. And you're like essentially presented with just Monica. She's just sitting in front of you in
just
this
Monica.
Like, it's just Monica. And she's got you in this like very much just like room devoid of any character. She's just like at a desk with you. And like the background space. Is this, in space. Like it's just like she's put you nowhere essentially. And she like starts explaining to you like, hey, I'm actually this game that you're playing. Like I'm the AI that was tasked with building a very nice date for you with all these people. And like these programs, I kept trying to like, make them love you more. And they just like became unhinged. And so that's what, Sayori's response was initially she had turned the love meter up. Monica had turned the love meter up too high, which drove Sayori to do what she did. And then it like started to fuck things up with Yuri and Natsuki too, who like their personalities just became like more of themselves.
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
She said that she was trying to make them love you more?
That's my understanding. Yeah. She was like, I want to make a good date for you.
my Monica told me that she was jealous and she wanted me to notice her. And that instead of turning up the love meter, she's like, I made her more depressed. I turned up her depression meter, making you so that you would not spend time with her and spend time with me. And then with Yuri, I was like, I just made her more compulsive and controlling and turned that up on her so that you would ignore her and pay more attention to me. That's what I got. But she told you something different?
So it eventually got there. She was like, I just wanted to spend time with you.
Oh, okay.
I think it was probably just approached from a different perspective because in the beginning, like I had told Sayori, like, you're my best friend. I don't want to mess that up. And so I think like for me, what had happened was that Sayori was way too into me. And so, yeah, it's interesting. It must be sort of paying attention to how the situation's played out. So, she like sort of explains all this. And is like, but, oh my God, this was incredible too. This was like hugely Psycho Mantis for Metal Gear Solid. I had named my character Chut in the game because I was like, it's just a fucking video game. And I think because I was on the Switch, she was like, Chut or, Chase, whatever your real name is. And I was like, oh no, dude. Like, she like... very much was like, no, not the character in the game. You, the person playing this is who I'm talking to. I love you. And like, I was like, oh my God. Like she spoke like my God-given name.
She spoke Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes, exactly. I was like, she peeled back the curtain and looked at me. And that was like just terrifying. I thought that was so cool. Like it's so rare that a game tries to do that like Psycho Mantis stuff of like, reading your save file or whatever, digging into your like your fucking system files to see who you are. It was so effective. Yeah.
I play this on the PC and it's Mallory's PC. She's like, I named myself David in the game. She's like, David, or is it actually Mallory, your real name? I'm like, hey, you take her name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And it also knew I was playing on Steam too.
Oh, terrifying.
It was just like, I just went into like their character profiles and deleted them. You could do the same thing on Steam, but it might be a little bit difficult. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on Steam.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Here's a major part of the game is that you end this conversation with her and she's like, I'm just going to spend eternity with you here. And like gives you a couple times where she's like, let's just look at each other. And then there's no dialogue and just sort of the background music. And she's just looking at you. And like, that was the most terrifying moment in the game to me. Cause I was like, is this thing also looking at me?
I was playing.
Does it know I'm here?
I was playing this on my TV. So it's like a big ass screen of this anime girl just looking at me, and there's nothing else going on besides just the music. And I'm like here by myself because Mallory's out of town. So I'm just like looking around the room. I'm just like, this is so disturbing. This is so messed up. Looking at me so lovingly, but so creepily.
It was so scary. So it did that. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I think like, I was like, okay, I don't think this is it. Like, I bet there's some other stuff going on here. And so I like quit that part of the game and it boots you back out to like what looks like kind of weird windows or something. And you can go poke around and look at like images from the game.
Yeah.
One of the options there is you can delete Monica from the the character's game files. And so it's interesting that she told you, hey, you can go delete them from the Steam files.
Like, she's just like, oh, I just deleted them. They're like characters have their names on their files. And she's like, tells you where to go in Steam to find her file.
That's so cool.
So like you have to close the game. Yeah. So I closed the game and I opened it up a couple times because it just closes you back to Steam. They opened it back up and she's like, oh God, that hurt so bad. What did you do? What happened? Like, because she turned the game off and like she died for a bit. She's like, don't do that again. And like I turned it off, turned it on a couple times, like, okay, what do I do? And then I had to exit out of like the console version of Steam or the controller version of Steam and then go and get my mouse, right click on Doki Doki Literature Club, go to manage files, go to characters, go to Monica and delete it. Right click, delete, and then open back up the game. And then it does the ending.
Right. Which is like,
it was a very visceral experience.
It's so cool. I know we went into this kind of like talking about, dating simulators in general. And I think like that's a whole conversation. This game is so wild and so cool on its own. I love it when games sort of like go outside of like their perceived place that you can play it. Again, Metal Gear Solid, the way to beat Psycho Mantis to let him not read your mind is to plug your controller into the second port. That's cool as fuck. I love that.
Classic.
It feels so similar of like requiring you to go delete fucking files on your Windows machine. Like that's so cool. And something I presume is not very easy to pull off, like to be able, well, maybe not actually, because like it's just a fucking file. Like it just checks if it's there or not. But anyway, yeah. So the way that the game ends is you delete Monica and then boot the game back up, or at least that's what I did. And like she's like, oh, what the fuck? What did you do? Like this hurts so badly. I can't believe you would do this. Like you're a monster, essentially.
You're the worst.
Yeah, like really lays it on thick. And like, I did feel kind of bad. I was like, this doesn't feel great. And eventually, like after some turmoil, she, I think just like resets the game, but takes herself out of it.
Yeah, she brings back all the other Dokis.
Right. And like you kind of replay the first level again. And it was like kind of sweet. Like everybody just seemed a lot more on the level. And like it felt like they were written a lot more real. The characters, like they were responding to each other in ways that felt very like, oh, this is how somebody might respond to a person who isn't just like the one boy that walks in the room and suddenly they're in love with they're all in love with him.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it seems a little bit more normal. And you're probably just like slowly becoming friends with these people rather than like the dating simulator thing where everybody's just suddenly in love with you. And then sort of at the end of that day, it all just sort of goes haywire again.
Yep. The power of the club president is too much for any one person to have.
Yeah. So I guess the question that I have about this is my understanding was that, so Sayori is the club president instead of Monica in this run through. And like, I think she just like deletes the game and like resets everything to 0.
My understanding was that Monica does that.
Okay. So that was my question. Was it Monica controlling that whole experience, or was it that like whoever's in charge of the game just like kind of goes off the rails?
What my understanding was that she sees Sayori become corrupted with the knowledge and the power of being able to control the game and being able to know like the reality of the situation. And because she sees that, she's like, this game is too much for anybody, for any of my friends to be in control of. No one can handle this. It has to go. Like everyone is better off just delete it. The whole thing deleted.
Yeah.
That was my understanding.
I think that's correct. Sort of in hindsight. And she truly does. Like the game just like nukes itself.
And like the credits are just like them like with the different like pictures of stills from the game and just like no image found after a bit. No image found. Right, just slowly deleting itself.
There's also this like there's been this reference the whole time that Monica's learning to play piano. And like at the end of the game, it plays you this song, which is like, I guess supposedly from Monica's perspective of just this kind of like simple but sweet song.
Well, it's the song that is playing the whole game.
Right. Yeah. Like it's the theme of the game, essentially, just like with actual like singing behind it, which is like just terrifying into itself. Like you've been listening to her song this whole time. And then like it just boots out. And essentially what you can do is you can run a script that will like reset the game back to 0 and you can play it again if you want to. But I immediately deleted the game from my Switch. I'm like, nope, I'm getting rid of Monica. Everybody has to go. I'm not playing this game. And like just couldn't do it over again.
Yeah, it's like if you want to play the game again, you have to uninstall it and reinstall it. Like,
yeah, just phenomenal. I love that part of it. So I know that like that's a lot. And I also know that like this game is definitely making like meta commentary about dating simulators. And I think what I had taken from it was just like this sort of weird way that it's this kind of fantasy fulfillment for people, and that it is like ultimately setting up this kind of or very unhealthy fantasy relationship, right? Where like just these people are absolutely obsessed with you. And like if this played out in real life would go very badly. And so like I thought that was interesting. And like I said, a very weird game for us to be talking about the first time that we play dating simulators. This is one of them. It's very much meta commentary and kind of poking at the edges of what this genre does as a whole without, with us having played like 2 or 3 of these games already.
Right. Yeah. We are not experts in this genre whatsoever.
No, not at all. So it was interesting. I think this one just kind of comes up whenever people talk about dating simulators, just because it is so wild and plays with the format so much. that it was pretty interesting. What did you think about? What were your kind of thoughts after beating it?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely a game that kind of sticks with you for a bit, makes you think about it critically. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're spot on with, it's looking at, if these were more real, how would this really play out in the end if you rebuffed them or if things didn't go their way, right? Yeah. If they were like this into you so quickly. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting take on the whole genre. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know if it's necessarily necessary for most folks who play these games, because
probably not.
I'm sure they realize that this is totally unrealistic, but there is probably that subgenre of chud who may need the reminder of like, oh no, this is totally unrealistic. And
this isn't how it works. Yeah.
This is mental health issues actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's definitely a very interesting game. Definitely a very interesting take, executed very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a well done experience. Turns it on its head. I wouldn't say it's necessarily, like I said, necessarily necessary, but definitely enjoyable and definitely a good commentary on the genre.
Yeah, for sure. I think I don't know if this was intentional, but it feels like there was like something that they were trying to say about like game development in general, having Monica like kind of miss the mark a lot. Like, just trying to like build this place for you, and like very much just wants to be like, I want to give you whatever you want. And like that doesn't really go so well a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And she like has to restart it and do it over again. And like, even that doesn't really fucking work. And like, it felt very much like somebody who was building a video game and like is getting reacted to by people who are like, hey, there actually weren't women in World War II. It's like, for fuck's sake, you guys, like we built this whole fucking thing for you. Just that like the
historical accuracy, but zombies is my favorite mode.
Yeah, exactly. It's just so fucking stupid. And so like I felt like there was a little bit of the developer being like, it ain't easy making these fucking games for you guys. Like I want to very badly. I think having known people who went into games and like who were thinking about going into games, I feel like that's usually a lot of the conversation is like, well, I like video games and I want to make video games that other people like. And like are fun for other people, rather than like, I know people are in it for this of like, I want to perfect my craft, like that's definitely there. There are those people, but like a lot of the time I feel like video game making and video game design is a lot of like just kind of spreading the love. I'm passionate about this. You're passionate about this. Like I want to make a cool thing. And that just like doesn't go well a lot of the time. You're kind of making it in a way that it just doesn't really work out in the way that you're hoping it does.
Sure.
And at the end of it, like it kind of forces Monica to have this like very stripped down and very simple experience of just staring at you. I think that there's hesitancy in the sort of like game development community to take these big risks for, a really well-known game, because the fans might fucking hate it. Like you want to simplify and make it the easiest to digest thing. But even that sometimes doesn't fucking work, okay, let's just make Pokemon fucking Sword and Shield and make it this like easy little thing to digest. And everybody's like, it's not a fucking national dex. Like that whole thing. And I know that like,
it's too simple now.
Yeah. And like, I get that the reaction of the character in seeing somebody who they like and being devastated by the actions that they're choosing to take to harm themselves is not the same thing as a chud reacting shitty to a new game online. But just that like sense of this is not what I intended is like very much there. And so I felt that coming through when I was playing this game.
Sure.
Which is not what I went into expecting.
No, it's a solid game.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that was our dating simulators. What do you think about this genre? Will you keep playing dating simulators, David?
I mean, if they're like Dream Daddy, probably.
Yeah, well-made, well-written video games.
It's just so wholesome and enjoyable.
Yeah,
it's an easy play. It's not like demanding a lot from me. It's just me just choosing my preference. That's it.
Yeah, I think outside of the Doki Doki thing, like I think that this episode and this kind of conversation about them has really reaffirmed that like these kind of games are very much just a comfort for me. Like if I want to go just kind of sink into a comforting space other than Doki Doki Literature Club, that is an option available. And there's a lot of these. So I presume that like Dream Daddy isn't the only one that's written well. It's just like, it's so nice. I know that like some people have movies that they put on when they're in, you know, a shitty headspace, or they'll, you know, find games that they play when they're kind of not feeling great. And I think there's so many of those here. There's so many games where it's just good to go hang out and like talk to people. And when the dialogue is good, it is effective. Like you kind of feel connected to these like very fictional people. And I think that that's like, I don't know, it's an interesting experiment and something that I definitely haven't done before.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. The writing is impressive.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
didn't think the writing would be so good, but it is.
Yeah, me neither. So yeah, anything else to say on dating simulators?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Hey everybody. If you wanna give us your opinions on your favorite dating simulators, you can do so at our Twitter at Podtimism.
That is true, and we do want those opinions. I would love to hear from people who
I'm honestly very curious now. Like this is a genre that I have largely ignored due to my chuddery, my residual chuddery from my childhood.
Chudhuttery.
My chudhuttery. So please let me know which ones are worthwhile, because I'm legitimately interested at this point. You can also email us your desired and preferred dating simulators at vgpodtimism@gmail.com.
This is also true.
Yeah, you can even like write a review about our misunderstanding of dating simulators. And if you do that, we would really appreciate it, because it really helps out the pod. Just, you know, we're trying our best. So just keep that in mind when you do write the review. We're really putting in a high amount of effort into this podcast. At least Chase is. So
he plays video games too. That's a true thing.
Chase is putting a lot of effort, and I'm here. So
this is underselling your contributions.
But yeah, you know, if you want to leave us a review, or if you want to rate us, or like subscribe or follow, or whatever it is that you do on your preferred podcasting app of choice, go for it, please. We love you. Please. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Which also brings me to my last bit, which is thank you for spending your time with us. We really love it. We appreciate having people to talk to or talk at, I should say, since you're not really, you know,
I guess there's not a conversation going on
unless you go to our Twitter and talk at us, and then we'll talk at you back.
Very true.
So yeah, thank you for spending your time with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for listening to us drone on for nearly over 2 hours at this point about dating simulators. We appreciate it.
This is the long pod.
I think this may be the longest on record, depending on how it edits down.
No, the lost pod, I think, was longer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Dead Near Automata pod was definitely longer, but that one is lost to the sands of time. God, dude.
What if this one also gets lost? Because of Doki.
I'm going to be
powers.
so bummed out if Audacity is just like, dude, not 2 hours, not fucking 2 hours, my guy.
You just hear Monica talking over some of the stuff we say.
Oh my God. I would delete my computer. It's not worth it. We're stopping the podcast.
How do you delete a computer? Just throw it off a bridge? Jumanji?
Yeah, just yeet
throw it into the
man.
Ocean for another poor soul to find.
You deal with this now. You make the podcast, stranger.
There you go. All right, Chase, do you have any video game wisdom for us this week?
I think so. If your computer starts to become self-aware, just like maybe don't. Just don't.
just don't. Don't make a Skynet. Don't make a Skynet.
Please don't do a Skynet. If you're thinking like maybe it's going to be a Skynet, don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
But don't do a Will Smith robot movie.
iRobot.
Don't do an iRobot.
Don't do an iRobot.
Don't do an iRobot, please.
Don't do
Keanu Reeves.
Don't do Keanu Reeves. Do a Star Trek. Do Data. Data in a court of law has been declared to not be just some fucking automaton. So there's that. And
only a real Trekkie would know.
I'm so scared of invoking that title on myself. I feel like that is, again, there's going to be a vacuum in our podcast. All of our normal listeners will leave, and then thousands of people will swarm in.
I didn't know that there was a trial about whether or not Data was a person.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's good.
Chase, you're a Trekkie, Chase. Own that label with pride.
I need to watch a significant amount of Star Trek, I think, before I'm ready for that title.
You're a Voyager Trekkie only?
Yeah, I could say that. I think I could say I'm a Voyager boy. I'm a Voyager.
Voyager. Chef Boyardee Chase.
Seth Boyardee or Seth Voyardee.
Seth Boyardee.
Oh my God. Seth. Is it Seth Voyardee or Chef Voyardee? Which one? Which Drake meme do we want to go with?
I was going with Chef. I also like Chef Boyardee.
Yeah. No, I got that part. I love Chef
Boyardee.
People are going to be awfully confused when this episode comes out and it is Chef Voyardee. In parentheses, it says the sex episode.